Welcome to my channel, Old Coins News. In today's video, we will talk about 6-1 new penny coins, a small coin with a big history and old value. To learn the complete history and value of these coins, make sure to watch the video till the end. For more rare and old coin history videos, please subscribe to Old Coins News. So, let's get started. The Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1987 1 penny is an important modern British bronze coin that represents the late 20th century phase of United Kingdom decimal coinage. Although commonly found and often overlooked in everyday circulation, this coin carries deep historical meaning, strong royal symbolism, and a clear connection to Britain's long monetary tradition. Issued during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, the longest-serving monarch in British history, the 1987 1 penny reflects not only economic stability but also the continuity of royal authority, national identity, and classical coin design. For collectors, historians, and beginners in numismatics, this coin serves as an excellent example of how even small denomination coins can preserve centuries of tradition and craftsmanship. Queen Elizabeth II ascended the throne in 1952, and by 1987 she had already reigned for 35 years. During this time, Britain experienced immense political, economic, and cultural change, yet the image of the Queen on its coinage remained a symbol of stability and unity. The DG Reg FD inscription on the coin is an abbreviation of the Latin phrase Dei Gratia Regina Fide Defensa, meaning by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This title has appeared on British coinage for centuries and reflects the constitutional and religious role of the monarch. On the 1987 penny, this inscription connects modern Britain to its medieval and early modern past, emphasizing the enduring nature of the monarchy. The obverse of the 1987 1 penny features the third official portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael McLuth. This portrait was used on British coins from 1985 to 1997 and is considered one of the most elegant and dignified depictions of the Queen. It shows Elizabeth II wearing the royal diadem, which she also wore on her wedding day and on postage stamps. The Queen faces right, and the portrait emphasizes maturity, authority, and regal calm. Surrounding the portrait is the legend Elizabeth II times D times G times Reg times F times D times 1987, clearly identifying the monarch, her titles, and the year of minting. The lettering is clean, balanced, and sharply struck on well-preserved examples, making it visually appealing to collectors. The reverse of the coin displays the iconic crown portcullis with chains, a design created by Christopher Ironside, who was responsible for many of Britain's decimal coin designs introduced in 1971. The portcullis is a powerful historical symbol associated with the Palace of Westminster and the House of Commons, representing parliamentary authority, security, and national governance. Above the portcullis is St. Edward's crown, reinforcing the connection between monarchy and state. Below the design appears the denomination 1 penny, clearly stated in capital letters. This reverse design was used on British pennies from 1971 until 2008, making it one of the most recognizable decimal coin designs in UK history. In terms of metal composition, the 1987 1 penny is made of bronze, consisting of approximately 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin. This gives the coin its characteristic reddish-brown color and solid feel. Unlike later pennies produced after 1992, which are copper-plated steel and magnetic, the 1987 penny is non-magnetic and heavier, a feature collectors often use to identify pre-1992 bronze issues. The coin has a weight of 3.56 grams, a diameter of 20.3 millimeters, and a plain edge, consistent with other bronze pennies of the period. These physical specifications make the coin durable and well-suited for everyday circulation during its time of issue. The 1987 1 penny was minted during a period when cash transactions were still central to daily life in Britain. Supermarkets, public transport, vending machines, and small shops relied heavily on low-denomination coins. As a result, the 1987 penny was produced in very large quantities, with mintages reaching hundreds of millions. Because of this high production, the coin is considered common in circulated condition today. However, condition plays a crucial role in numismatic value. While worn examples are worth little more than face value, uncirculated and proof specimens are far more desirable to collectors. Proof versions of the 1987 one penny were produced specifically for collector sets, featuring a higher quality strike, mirror-like feels, and frosted design elements. These proof coins were not intended for circulation and were sold in official Royal Mint proof sets. As a result, they are far scarcer than circulation strikes and can command significantly higher prices, especially when preserved in original packaging. Collectors often seek proof examples to complete year sets or Elizabeth II portrait-type collections. From a historical perspective, the 1987 penny represents the mature stage of Britain's decimal currency system, which was introduced in 1971. By the late 1980s, the public had fully adapted to decimal coinage, and designs like the portcullis penny had become familiar symbols of everyday life. At the same time, the coin exists near the end of the bronze penny era, as rising copper prices would later force the Royal Mint to change composition in the early 1990s. This makes the 1987 issue part of the final generation of traditional bronze British pennies. In terms of collector value, the 1987 one penny is generally affordable and accessible. Circulated examples are extremely common and usually hold minimal monetary value, making them ideal for beginner collectors. However, coins in brilliant uncirculated BU condition, with full original luster and no wear, are more desirable and can be worth several times face value. Proof examples, especially those graded by professional grading services, can be worth significantly more depending on condition and market demand. Errors, such as off-center strikes or die cracks, are rare but highly collectible when authenticated. The Latin inscription on the coin adds an educational element for collectors, introducing them to the traditional language of royal titles. DG Reg FD is a reminder that British coinage has long served as a political and religious statement, as well as a monetary tool. Even in the modern era, these ancient abbreviations maintain continuity with coins struck centuries earlier under monarchs such as Henry VIII, Elizabeth I, and Victoria. 4 YouTube channels, educational videos, and coin history content creators. The Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1987 one penny offers rich material despite its modest denomination. It allows discussion of monarchy, decimalization, metal composition changes, design evolution, and everyday economic history. Its familiarity makes it relatable, while its historical background adds depth and interest for viewers. In conclusion, the 1987 Elizabeth II one penny is far more than a simple copper coin. It is a tangible piece of British history, reflecting royal tradition, parliamentary symbolism, and late 20th century monetary policy. While common in circulation, it holds lasting value as a teaching tool, a collector's item in high grades, and a symbol of Queen Elizabeth II's enduring legacy. For collectors of British coins, especially those focusing on the Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1984 one penny is a classic example of late 20th century British decimal coinage, representing a period when traditional materials, long-standing royal titles, and symbolic national designs were still strongly preserved in everyday currency. Though small in denomination and often regarded as ordinary, this coin carries substantial historical, cultural, and numismatic importance. Issued during the long and stable reign of Queen Elizabeth II, the 1984 one penny reflects the continuity of the British monarchy, the authority of Parliament, and the practical realities of Britain's economy in the 1980s. For collectors, historians, and beginners alike, this coin serves as a tangible link between ancient royal traditions and modern decimal currency. Queen Elizabeth II became monarch in 1952, and by the year 1984, she had already ruled for over 3 decades. Her reign spanned immense global change, including post-war recovery, technological advancement, political transformation, and shifts in economic policy. Despite these changes, British coinage remained deeply rooted in tradition, and the one penny coin of 1984 is a strong reflection of this continuity. The inscription DG Reg FD, which appears prominently on the obverse, is an abbreviated Latin title meaning Dei Gratia Regina, Fide Defensa, translated as by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This phrase has been used on English and British coinage for centuries, emphasizing the monarch's divine authority and constitutional role within the state and the Church of England. The obverse design of the 1984 one penny features the second definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by artist Arnold Machin. This portrait was introduced in 1968 and remained in use until 1984, making the 1984 penny one of the final issues to feature this iconic design. The Machin portrait is widely admired for its simplicity, realism, and dignity. It depicts a queen facing right, wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a wedding gift she received in 1947. Unlike later portraits that show a more mature monarch, this image presents Elizabeth II with a calm, youthful, and composed expression, symbolizing stability and continuity. Surrounding the portrait is the inscription Elizabeth II times D times G times Reg times F times D times 1984, clearly identifying the ruler and year of issue. The reverse side of the 1984 one penny displays the well-known crown portcullis with chains, a design created by Christopher Ironside as part of Britain's decimal coinage system introduced in 1971. The portcullis is a historic symbol closely associated with the Palace of Westminster and the British Parliament, particularly the House of Commons. It represents strength, security, and governance, while the chains signify protection and authority. Above the portcullis sits St. Edward's crown, reinforcing the constitutional link between monarchy and Parliament. Beneath the design, the denomination 1 penny is clearly written, making the coin easily recognizable in daily transactions. This reverse design remained unchanged for decades and became one of the most familiar images in British everyday life. In terms of composition, the 1984 one penny is made of traditional bronze, consisting of approximately 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin. This composition gives the coin its warm reddish-brown color and solid feel. The coin weighs 3.56 grams, has a diameter of 20.3 millimeters, and features a plain edge. Importantly, the 1984 penny is non-magnetic, a key identifying feature that distinguishes it from later copper-plated steel pennies introduced after 1992. For collectors, this makes the 1984 issue part of the increasingly desirable group of pre-1992 bronze pennies, which are often preferred for their traditional metal content and historical authenticity. The year 1984 itself holds particular interest in British cultural history, famously associated with George Orwell's novel 1984. While the coin has no direct connection to the novel, its existence during this culturally significant year adds an additional layer of historical context for collectors and enthusiasts. Economically, Britain in the early 1980s was undergoing transformation, with inflation control, industrial changes, and modernization shaping daily life. Low-denomination coins like the 1 penny were essential for small purchases, change-making, and everyday commerce, ensuring extremely high circulation levels. The mintage of the 1984 one penny was very large, reaching into the hundreds of millions, as demand for bronze pennies remained strong at the time. Because of this, the coin is considered common in circulated condition. Many examples show signs of wear, dark toning, scratches, and loss of original luster due to decades of use. However, coins that survived in brilliant uncirculated BU condition are far more attractive and collectible. These coins retain sharp details, original mint luster, and strong color, making them desirable additions to year sets or Elizabeth II portrait collections. In addition to circulation strikes, the Royal Mint also produced proof versions of the 1984 one penny as part of official collector proof sets. Proof coins were struck using specially prepared dies and polished blanks, resulting in mirror-like fields and frosted design elements. These coins were never intended for circulation and were sold directly to collectors, making them much scarcer than regular issues. Today, proof 1984 pennies, especially those in original packaging or high professional grades, command significantly higher values compared to circulated examples. From a numismatic perspective, the 1984 one penny is particularly important because it marks the end of the Arnold Machin portrait era on British coinage. Later in the same year, the Royal Mint introduced a new portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Raphael McCloof, making the 1984 penny a transitional issue in portrait history. Collectors often seek out 1984 pennies to represent the final appearance of one of the most famous royal portraits ever used on British coins. In terms of market value, the 1984 one penny generally holds modest value in worn condition, often close to face value. However, uncirculated bronze examples can sell for several times face value, while proof examples can reach much higher prices depending on condition and demand. Error coins, such as off-center strikes, clip planches, or die cracks, are rare but highly collectible when authenticated, sometimes fetching premium prices among specialists. Beyond monetary value, the educational and historical importance of the 1984 one penny is significant. It introduces collectors to Latin inscriptions, royal portrait evolution, decimal coinage design, and material changes in modern currency. 4 YouTube channels, coin history documentaries, and educational content. This coin offers an excellent opportunity to discuss how even the smallest denominations reflect broader national history and identity. In conclusion, the Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1984 one penny is far more than a simple copper coin. It is a symbol of Britain's constitutional monarchy, parliamentary tradition, and late 20th century economic life. As one of the final pennies to feature the Arnold Machin portrait and part of the traditional Bronze era, it holds lasting appeal for collectors and historians alike. Whether found in circulation, preserved in a collection, or presented in a proof set, the 1984 one penny remains an enduring and meaningful piece of British numismatic heritage. The Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1993 one penny represents an important transitional stage in modern British coinage, marking the era when traditional designs continued but materials and production methods had significantly changed. While visually similar to earlier decimal pennies, the 1993 one penny is historically notable because it belongs to the post-bronze period, when the Royal Mint had already shifted from solid bronze to copper-plated steel due to rising metal costs. Issued during the long reign of Queen Elizabeth II, this coin reflects late 20th century Britain, an age of modernization, economic efficiency, and evolving mint technology, while still preserving centuries-old royal titles and national symbols. Though often overlooked because of its common availability, the 1993 penny holds lasting importance for collectors who study material changes, portrait history, and the final decades of traditional British small-denomination coinage. Queen Elizabeth II ascended the throne in 1952, and by 1993 she had reigned for more than 40 years, making her one of the most experienced and recognized monarchs in world history at the time. Her portrait on British coinage served not only as a legal symbol of authority, but also as a familiar presence in daily life, appearing in the hands of millions of people every day. The inscription DG Reg FD on the coin is an abbreviation of the Latin phrase Dei Gratia Regina, Fide Defensa, which translates to by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This historic title has been used on British coins for hundreds of years and emphasizes the monarch's constitutional role and connection to the Church of England. Even in a modern year like 1993, the presence of this Latin inscription demonstrates how British coinage carefully preserved tradition while adapting to contemporary needs. The obverse of the 1993 one penny features a third definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael McLuth. This portrait was introduced in 1985 and used until 1997, and it is widely regarded as one of the most regal and formal depictions of the Queen. The design shows Elizabeth II facing right, wearing the royal diadem, a symbol of monarchy that also appeared on postage stamps and ceremonial imagery. Unlike earlier portraits that emphasized youth, the McLuth portrait presents a mature, confident monarch, reflecting her decades of service and experience. The portrait is surrounded by the legend Elizabeth II times D times G times Reg times F times D times 1993, with clear lettering that identifies both the ruler and the year of issue. On well-preserved examples, the detail in the hair, diadem, and facial features is sharp and finely defined, making uncirculated coins particularly attractive. The reverse design of the 1993 one penny continues the classic decimal motif created by Christopher Ironside, featuring the crown portcullis with chains. The portcullis is a powerful historical symbol associated with the Palace of Westminster and the British Parliament, particularly the House of Commons. It represents strength, security, and authority, while the chains emphasize protection and continuity of governance. Above the portcullis appears St. Edward's crown, reinforcing the constitutional connection between the monarchy and Parliament. Below the design, the denomination one penny is clearly spelled out, ensuring easy recognition in circulation. This reverse design had been in use since decimalization in 1971, and became one of the most familiar images in British everyday life, remaining unchanged until the penny's redesign in 2008. One of the most important aspects of the 1993 one penny is its metal composition, which distinguishes it clearly from earlier issues. Unlike pennies minted before 1992, which were made of solid bronze, the 1993 penny is composed of copper-plated steel. This change was implemented by the Royal Mint to reduce production costs as copper prices rose sharply. The coin has a thin copper coating over a steel core, giving it a similar appearance to bronze but a different physical behavior. As a result, the 1993 penny is magnetic, a key identifying feature that collectors often use to distinguish post-1992 pennies from earlier bronze issues. The coin weighs 3.56 grams, has a diameter of 20.3 millimeters, and features a plain edge, maintaining the same size and weight standards as earlier pennies to ensure compatibility with vending machines and coin handling systems. The economic and social context of 1993 adds further depth to the coin's history. Britain in the early 1990s was experiencing economic recovery following recession, alongside increasing globalization and technological change. Cash transactions were still central to daily life, and the one-penny coin played a vital role in pricing, change-making, and small purchases. Although inflation had reduced the penny's purchasing power compared to earlier decades, it remained an essential part of the currency system. The high demand for low-denomination coins meant that the 1993 one penny was minted in extremely large quantities, making it common in circulation and widely available today. Because of its high mintage, the 1993 one penny is generally considered a common coin in circulated condition. Many examples show signs of wear, surface scratches, dulling of the copper plating, and corrosion where the steel core has been exposed. These circulated coins usually carry little monetary value beyond face value. However, condition is critical in numismatics, and coins that have survived in brilliant uncirculated BU condition are far more appealing to collectors. Uncirculated examples retain their original red or red-brown color, sharp details, and full mint luster, making them desirable for year sets and Elizabeth II portrait collections. In addition to circulation strikes, the Royal Mint also issued proof versions of the 1993 one penny as part of official collector proof sets. Proof coins are struck using specially prepared dies and polished blanks, resulting in mirror-like backgrounds and frosted design elements. These coins were never intended for circulation and were sold directly to collectors, making them significantly scarcer than regular issues. Proof 1993 pennies are highly sought after, especially when preserved in original packaging or graded by professional grading services, and they often command premium prices compared to standard circulation examples. From a numismatic classification perspective, the 1993 one penny is important because it represents a fully established copper-plated steel era of British pennies. Collectors who focus on metal composition changes often include this coin as a key example when illustrating the shift from traditional bronze to modern plated steel. While the design remained unchanged, the feel, sound, and magnetic properties of the coin marked a clear break from earlier issues, making it an educational piece for both beginners and advanced collectors. The Latin legend, royal portrait, and parliamentary symbolism together make the 1993 penny a powerful representation of Britain's constitutional system. Even in an age of increasing digital transactions and modern finance, the coin carried forward symbols that had appeared on British money for generations. The Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1973 one penny is one of the most historically significant early decimal coins of the United Kingdom, representing a foundational stage in Britain's modern monetary system. Issued only 2 years after the country adopted decimal currency in 1971, the 1973 one penny belongs to the first generation of decimal pennies, making it especially important for collectors and historians. Although it was produced in large quantities and circulated widely, this coin captures a moment when Britain was transitioning away from centuries of pre-decimal currency while still preserving deep-rooted royal traditions, classical symbolism, and traditional metal composition. For this reason, the 1973 penny stands as a bridge between Britain's old monetary past and its modern financial future. Queen Elizabeth II, who ascended the throne in 1952, was firmly established as monarch by the early 1970s. Her image on the 1973 one penny symbolized continuity and reassurance during a period of economic and social change in Britain. The country was adjusting not only to decimalization but also to inflation, industrial shifts, and changing global economic conditions. Despite these challenges, British coinage maintained its strong sense of identity. The inscription DG Reg FD, found on the obverse of the coin, is an abbreviated Latin phrase meaning Dei Gratia Regina, Fide Defensa, translated as by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This title has appeared on British coins for centuries and reflects the monarch's constitutional authority and spiritual role as head of the Church of England, reinforcing the idea that even the smallest coin carries royal legitimacy. The obverse of the 1973 one penny features a second definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by renowned sculptor Arnold Machin. Introduced in 1968, this portrait replaced the earlier youthful image by Mary Gillick and became one of the most iconic royal portraits in British numismatic history. The Machin portrait depicts a queen facing right, wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a wedding gift she received in 1947. The design is admired for its realism, simplicity, and timeless elegance. The queen appears calm, composed, and dignified, reflecting stability during a time of national adjustment. Surrounding the portrait is the inscription Elizabeth II times D times G times Reg times F times D times 1973, clearly identifying the monarch, her titles, and the year of minting. The reverse design of the 1973 one penny was created by Christopher Ironside, who was commissioned to design the new decimal coinage introduced in 1971. The reverse features a famous crown portcullis with chains, a powerful symbol associated with the Palace of Westminster and the House of Commons. The portcullis represents strength, security, and governance, while the chains symbolize protection and continuity. Above the portcullis sits St. Edward's crown, emphasizing the constitutional connection between monarchy and parliament. Below the design, the denomination one penny is clearly written, ensuring easy identification in circulation. This reverse design would remain in use for decades, becoming one of the most familiar images in British daily life. One of the most important aspects of the 1973 one penny is its metal composition. The coin is made of traditional bronze, consisting of approximately 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin. This composition gives the coin its distinctive reddish-brown color, solid feel, and durability. The coin weighs 3.56 grams, has a diameter of 20.3 millimeters, and features a plain edge. Unlike later pennies produced after 1992, the 1973 penny is non-magnetic, making it part of the increasingly desirable group of pre-1992 bronze pennies that many collectors prefer for their intrinsic metal value and traditional craftsmanship. The year 1973 itself is significant in British economic history. It was a time of rising inflation, industrial unrest, and global economic uncertainty, particularly following changes in the international monetary system and the lead-up to the oil crisis later in the year. During this period, low-denomination coins like the one penny played a vital role in everyday transactions. Prices were still commonly expressed in pennies, and the penny was an essential unit of change in shops, markets, transport, and vending machines. As a result, the Royal Mint produced the 1973 one penny in very large quantities, ensuring sufficient supply for the growing decimal economy. Because of its high mintage, the 1973 one penny is considered common in circulated condition. Many examples show heavy wear, dark toning, surface scratches, and loss of original mint luster due to decades of use. However, condition is critical in numismatics. Coins that have survived in brilliant uncirculated BU condition are far more attractive and collectible. These examples display sharp details, full original luster, and rich bronze color, making them popular among collectors who assemble date runs or focus on early decimal issues. The Royal Mint also produced proof versions of the 1973 one penny as part of official proof sets intended for collectors. Proof coins were struck using specially prepared dies and polished blanks, resulting in mirror-like backgrounds and frosted design elements. These coins were not intended for circulation and were sold directly to collectors, making them much scarcer than standard circulation issues. Today, proof 1973 pennies are highly collectible, especially when preserved in original packaging or certified by professional grading services. From a numismatic importance perspective, the 1973 one penny holds a special place as one of the earliest fully established decimal pennies. Collectors often include it when illustrating the early years of Britain's decimal system, alongside issues from 1971 and 1972. Its combination of traditional bronze metal, classical symbolism, and early decimal status makes it an educational and historically rich coin. Error varieties, such as off-center strikes, clip planches, or die cracks, are rare but highly sought after when authenticated, often commanding strong premiums. Beyond its physical characteristics and collector value, the 1973 one penny represents a broader story about Britain's ability to modernize while preserving tradition. Even as a country adopted a new currency system, it retained Latin inscriptions, royal portraits, and parliamentary symbols that had appeared on coins for generations. This balance between innovation and continuity is one of the defining features of British coinage, and is clearly reflected in the 1973 penny. In conclusion, the Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1973 one penny is far more than a small bronze coin. It is a foundational piece of Britain's decimal currency, a symbol of royal continuity, and a witness to economic and social change in the early 1970s. Whether found worn from circulation, preserved in uncirculated condition, or carefully housed in a proof set, this coin remains an essential item for collectors of British decimal coinage and an important educational example of how history, tradition, and everyday life are preserved in metal. The Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1979 one penny is a significant example of late 1970s British decimal coinage, reflecting a period when the United Kingdom had fully adjusted to decimal currency while still preserving long-standing royal traditions, classical symbolism, and traditional bronze metal composition. Issued 8 years after decimalization in 1971, the 1979 one penny belongs to a mature phase of Britain's modern currency system, yet it remains closely connected to centuries of monetary heritage through its Latin inscription, royal portrait, and parliamentary imagery. Though widely circulated and often regarded as an ordinary everyday coin, the 1979 penny carries considerable historical, cultural, and educational value for collectors and historians who study the evolution of British money during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Queen Elizabeth II, who ascended the throne in 1952, had been monarch for over 27 years by 1979. Her image on British coinage had become one of the most recognizable symbols of stability and continuity in the United Kingdom. The year 1979 itself is particularly notable in British history, marking a time of political and economic change, including the election of a new government and significant shifts in national policy. Against this backdrop, the one penny coin continued to circulate quietly in everyday life, serving as a reminder that while governments and policies change, the monarchy and the nation's core institutions endure. The inscription DG Reg FD on the coin is an abbreviated Latin phrase standing for Dei Gratia Regina, Fide Defensa, meaning by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This traditional title has appeared on British coinage for centuries and reinforces the monarch's constitutional role and spiritual authority as head of the Church of England. The obverse of the 1979 one penny features the second definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by the celebrated sculptor Arnold Machin. Introduced in 1968, the Machin portrait replaced the earlier youthful effigy by Mary Gillick and became one of the most iconic royal images in modern British numismatics. In this portrait, the Queen faces right and wears a Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a wedding gift she received in 1947. The portrait is admired for its realism, balance, and quiet dignity, showing the Queen with a calm and composed expression that symbolized reassurance during decades of change. Surrounding the portrait is the inscription Elizabeth II times D times G times Reg times F times D times 1979, clearly identifying the monarch, her titles, and the year of minting. On well-preserved examples, the detail in the hair, tiara, and facial features remains sharp and well-defined, adding to the coin's visual appeal. The reverse design of the 1979 one penny continues a familiar decimal motif created by Christopher Ironside, first introduced with Britain's decimal coinage in 1971. The reverse shows the crown portcullis with chains, a deeply symbolic image associated with the Palace of Westminster and the House of Commons. The portcullis represents authority, strength, and governance, while the chains signify security and continuity. Above the portcullis sits St. Edward's crown, reinforcing the constitutional relationship between the monarchy and Parliament. Beneath the design, the denomination one penny is clearly written in bold lettering, ensuring easy recognition in circulation. This reverse design became one of the most familiar images in British daily life and remained in use for decades, making it an enduring symbol of the decimal era. In terms of metal composition, the 1979 one penny is made of traditional bronze, consisting of approximately 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin. This composition gives the coin its characteristic reddish-brown color, solid weight, and durable feel. The coin weighs 3.56 grams, has a diameter of 20.3 millimeters, and features a plain edge, matching the standard specifications of bronze pennies used from 1971 until the early 1990s. Unlike later pennies introduced after 1992, the 1979 penny is non-magnetic, making it part of the increasingly collected group of pre-1992 bronze pennies, which many collectors prefer for their traditional metal content and classic appearance. The economic and social context of 1979 adds further depth to the history of this coin. Britain at the end of the 1970s was experiencing economic challenges, including inflation, unemployment, and industrial change. Despite these difficulties, cash transactions remained central to everyday life, and low-denomination coins such as the one penny were essential for pricing, change-making, and small purchases. Items in shops were still commonly priced in pennies, and the penny played a crucial role in daily commerce, from public transport to local markets. As a result, the Royal Mint produced a 1979 one penny in very large quantities, ensuring that enough coins were available for circulation across the country. Because of its high mintage, the 1979 one penny is considered common in circulated condition. Many surviving examples show signs of heavy wear, dark toning, scratches, and loss of original mint luster due to decades of use. However, condition remains a key factor in numismatics. Coins that have survived in brilliant uncirculated BU condition are significantly more attractive and collectible. These examples retain sharp details, original bronze color, and full mint luster, making them popular among collectors assembling complete date runs or focusing on the Machin portrait era. The Royal Mint also produced proof versions of the 1979 one penny as part of official proof sets intended for collectors rather than circulation. Proof coins were struck using specially prepared dies and highly polished blanks, resulting in mirror-like fields and frosted design elements. These coins were sold directly to collectors and preserved in protective packaging, making them much scarcer than circulation strikes. Today, proof 1979 pennies are highly desirable, particularly when found in original Royal Mint packaging or graded by professional grading services. From a numismatic significance perspective, the 1979 one penny represents the mature stage of Britain's bronze decimal penny era. It combines traditional metal composition with a well-established decimal design and a widely recognized royal portrait. Collectors often include the 1979 issue as part of broader studies of Elizabeth II's coinage, the Machin portrait series, or pre-1992 bronze pennies. Occasionally, mint errors such as off-center strikes, clip planches, or die cracks are discovered, and these error coins can be highly collectible and valuable when properly authenticated. Beyond its physical characteristics and market value, the Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1979 one penny holds lasting educational and historical importance. It demonstrates how Britain balanced modernization with tradition, retaining Latin inscriptions, royal symbolism, and parliamentary imagery even as society and the economy evolved. For students, collectors, and content creators, this coin offers a clear example of how everyday objects can reflect broader national history and identity. In conclusion, the 1979 Elizabeth II one penny is far more than a small bronze coin of little face value. It is a product of its time, reflecting the political, economic, and cultural atmosphere of late 1970s Britain, while preserving centuries-old traditions in its design and inscription. As part of the long reign of Queen Elizabeth II and the classic bronze penny, the Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1981 one penny is a classic example of British decimal coinage from the early 1980s, a period when the United Kingdom had fully adjusted to the decimal system introduced a decade earlier, yet still relied heavily on traditional coin designs, bronze metal composition, and centuries-old royal symbolism. Though modest in face value and extremely common in circulation during its time, the 1981 one penny represents a mature stage of Britain's bronze penny era and reflects the social, economic, and cultural environment of the country under the long and stable reign of Queen Elizabeth II. for collectors, historians, and students of numismatics. This coin offers valuable insight into how Britain preserved continuity in its currency while navigating economic challenges and modernization during the late 20th century. Queen Elizabeth II ascended the British throne in 1952, and by 1981 she had already reigned for nearly 30 years, becoming a familiar and reassuring presence in British public life. Her portrait on coinage symbolized stability at a time when Britain was experiencing inflation, industrial change, and shifting global influence. The continued use of the Latin inscription DG Reg FD on the 1981 one penny highlights the enduring traditions of British monarchy. This abbreviation stands for Dei Gratia Regina, Fide Defensa, meaning by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This title has been used on British coins for centuries and emphasizes the monarch's constitutional authority and spiritual role as supreme governor of the Church of England. Even in a modern year such as 1981, the presence of Latin text demonstrates how British coinage remains deeply rooted in historical tradition. The obverse of the 1981 one penny features the second definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by renowned sculptor Arnold Machin. First introduced in 1968, the Machin portrait is one of the most recognizable royal effigies in modern numismatic history. It depicts the Queen facing right, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a wedding gift she received in 1947. The portrait is admired for its realism, simplicity, and dignified appearance, showing the Queen with a calm, composed expression that conveyed reassurance and continuity during decades of social and economic change. Surrounding the portrait is the inscription Elizabeth II times D times G times Reg times F times D times 1981, clearly identifying the monarch, her titles, and the year of minting. On well-preserved examples, the fine details of the tiara, hair, and facial features are crisp and well-defined, making uncirculated coins particularly attractive to collectors. The reverse design of the 1981 one penny continues the classic decimal motif created by Christopher Ironside, introduced with Britain's new decimal currency in 1971. The reverse features the iconic crown portcullis with chains, a symbol strongly associated with the Palace of Westminster and the House of Commons. The portcullis represents authority, strength, and security, while the chains symbolize protection and continuity of governance. Above the portcullis is St. Edward's crown, reinforcing the constitutional link between the monarchy and Parliament. Beneath the design appears the denomination one penny, clearly written to ensure easy identification in circulation. This reverse design became one of the most familiar images in British daily life and remained in use on pennies until the major coin redesign of 2008. In terms of metal composition, the 1981 one penny is made of traditional bronze, consisting of approximately 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin. This composition gives the coin its warm reddish-brown color, solid weight, and durable feel. The coin weighs 3.56 grams, has a diameter of 20.3 millimeters, and features a plain edge, matching the standard specifications used for British bronze pennies from 1971 until the early 1990s. Importantly, the 1981 penny is non-magnetic, which distinguishes it from later pennies minted after 1992 that were made from copper-plated steel. For this reason, the 1981 issue is part of the increasingly collected group of pre-1992 bronze pennies, valued for their traditional metal content and classic appearance. The economic and social background of 1981 adds further historical depth to this coin. Britain in the early 1980s was experiencing high unemployment, inflationary pressure, and significant industrial restructuring. Despite these challenges, cash transactions remained central to everyday life, and low-denomination coins like the one penny were essential for pricing small purchases and making change. Items in shops were still commonly priced in pennies, and the penny played an important role in public transport, vending machines, local markets, and daily commerce. To meet this demand, the Royal Mint produced the 1981 one penny in very large quantities, ensuring sufficient supply for circulation across the United Kingdom. Because of its high mintage, the 1981 one penny is considered common in circulated condition. Many surviving examples show signs of heavy wear, dark toning, scratches, and loss of original mint luster after decades of use. However, condition remains crucial in numismatics. Coins that have survived in brilliant uncirculated BU, condition are far more desirable and visually appealing. These examples retain sharp design details, original bronze color, and full mint luster, making them popular among collectors assembling complete date runs, Machin portrait collections, or pre-1992 bronze penny sets. The Royal Mint also produced proof versions of the 1981 one penny as part of official proof sets intended for collectors rather than circulation. Proof coins were struck using specially prepared dies and polished blanks, resulting in mirror-like fields and frosted design elements. These coins were sold directly to collectors and preserved in protective packaging, making them significantly scarcer than regular circulation strikes. Today, proof 1981 pennies are highly sought after, especially when found in original Royal Mint packaging or professionally graded by recognized grading services. From a numismatic significance standpoint, the 1981 one penny represents a stable and mature period in Britain's bronze decimal coinage. It combines traditional bronze metal, a well-established decimal design, and the iconic Machin portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Collectors often include the 1981 issue when studying the evolution of British pennies during the Elizabeth II era or when illustrating the long-running use of traditional materials before the switch to copper-plated steel in the 1990s. Occasionally, mint errors such as off-center strikes, clip planches, or die cracks are discovered, and these error coins can command strong premiums when authenticated. Beyond its physical characteristics and market value, the Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1981 one penny holds lasting educational and historical importance. It demonstrates how Britain preserved centuries-old royal titles, Latin inscriptions, and parliamentary symbolism even as a country faced economic challenges and modernization. For students, collectors, and content creators, this coin provides a clear example of how everyday currency reflects national identity, continuity, and adaptation over time. In conclusion, the 1981 Elizabeth II one penny is far more than a small bronze coin of minimal face value. It is a product of its era, reflecting the economic realities, cultural atmosphere, and constitutional traditions of early 1980s Britain.